dead end. It is time to ask ourselves, what are the real foundations of our societies? What is quality of life, and what are the needs and values that should orient our collective behavior? Unusual circumstances tend to create rare opportunities. Conditions are ripe for the emergence of a new global contract driven by a different mindset with freedom, dignity, and human rights at its core. Everyone knows what's going to happen with, as a consequence of the financial crisis that we are facing now. We're just beginning. You have to see what will happen. I have been 2 days or 3 days ago in New York. The election day I was there. And I had the opportunity to have a conversation, a dialogue with several people involved in the financial area in the United States. They don't know what to do. They don't know what will happen. I'm not speaking of anyone. I don't want to give names to you. But anyhow, very important and responsible people. They just know one thing. The situation is bad. Well, okay. And the government, we need governmental support. So it's wonderful to see how these people have been so enthusiastic with free markets. I'm not against, but then how the fundamentalists in favor of free markets produce this kind of situation of despair. They don't know what to do. And I doubt if anyone in government will be capable now to say what to do. Probably we'll have to try several ways to solve the situation. But at the end, we have to look at people, because unemployment is coming, because poverty certainly will increase across the world. And those who have not to do with the financial crisis will pay a high price because of unemployment, because of the cost of commodities, because of the lack of different opportunities to solve the situation. And this is also a problem that cannot be solved just by looking after the markets. You have to look after society, what I said. And you have to involve more people into the debate about what kind of future we want for, let me use a strong word, for mankind. Not for each one of our countries, for mankind, because of globalization. Now again, it's possible to speak about mankind in a different way. When I remember what has been said by Marx, that you cannot use the concept of mankind, because what is true is social classes, and mankind could be a kind of fake analysis of the real situation. Now again, I think it's necessary to review that position, because mankind exists because it has been put together by not just by market, but also by the communication process and the possibility to have this enormous global interplay. So we have to look after not just one nation, but we have to look all nations together. This will require an enormous effort, to some extent, to rebuild the world order. Probably we have to start by trying to have a new sense of power. But then it will be necessary not just to have a sense of power. It's not necessary to have more discussion, more meetings. This is necessary, but it's not enough. Probably have to do an effort to create new institutions, or to invigorate the already existing institutions with a democratic spirit, enlarging the possibility for different countries and people to have a say into the decision-making process, because we cannot just accept what is now the case, that only one sense of power is taking decision, that is to say, the government of the United States. If you look what happened in very recent days, weeks and days, the fact is the American treasury became a kind of central bank of central banks. What has been the Lord Keynes' dream was prevented to realize the dream because the American Treasury Secretary at the time opposed to Keynes' ideas, that is to say, to create a real central bank of central bank. Suddenly, we are seeing the Federal Reserve working as if the Federal Reserve would be the central bank of central banks. I understand in current days, but at long term, this is not acceptable, because the means of that is that from now on, the Americans will have the only say. This is not acceptable. So this, I'm trying to raise to you the question that even the financial crisis has to be faced from the perspective of mankind, so from the perspective of rights, who have the power. You have to enlarge the empowerment process in order to avoid the additional asymmetries as a consequence of financial crisis. I know that's very difficult, but anyhow, like the King's stride, I think someone has to try nowadays and to imagine a better world. And this is not just for one person. This is also a collective, endeavor. Otherwise, those who are already commanding the global scene will continue to command. Anyhow, let me move to the other two challenges I want to mention, and those are more specific. One is linked to the questions of the transitional justice affecting societies where the rule of law was restored after long periods of authoritarianism. The other has to do with the threats to civil liberties raised by the war on terror. Let me deal first with the question that has deeply affected some of the most advanced democracies since the events of 9/11. Reflecting on the growing restrictions imposed on the rule of law in the name of security needs, Sérgio Vieira de Mello sounded the alarm. He said, "We live in fearful times, and fear is a bad advisor." Who would have imagined 10 years ago that the world was about to witness a resurgence in the use of torture as a state policy? In the end, the steady erosion of basic civil rights in the name of the war on terror is one of the saddest developments in the field of human rights. In the discussion in countries with the legal tradition of the United States and the United Kingdom about the exact definition of torture is a telling example of how fast human progress can be stopped and reversed. In my view, democracy will not lose war against global terrorism unless it sacrifices in the process its most precious and constituent values. This question is a powerful reminder of how fragile are the conquests in the field of human rights and how exposed is any country in time of crisis to authoritarian relapses. Hopefully, one of the first acts of Barack Obama as President of the United States will be to close down Guantanamo and treat torture as a crime against humanity. Because indulgence vis-à-vis torture, as has been said in the United States in recent years, is unacceptable. The fact that they are discussing about the legitimacy of torture is enough, it's too much. It's unacceptable, and this has been done. And one minister, Secretary of Justice, wrote a paper defending in which circumstances it's possible to use torture. And this paper has been approved by the government. So this is unacceptable. We have to react. And I sincerely hope that Obama will have the energy, the capacity, the energy to take a courageous act and to close down Guantanamo as a signal that this one era, a new era, is beginning. I think that some symbolic, moments have to be taken very in depth if you want to rebuild the basis for a better society. My last point has to do with the conflicting demands between peace and justice